Hello everyone, how you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day, and today we're here with an episode of Runescape Rankings in which we will be ranking Achievement Diaries in old school RuneScape. I've been working on them on this account. Before this account, I wasn't really that good at them, and the ones that I have not done may show you an indication as far as what I don't like, but that is what we are going to be ranking today, just going through easy, medium, hard, and elite for every single diary, and kind of ranking which diaries are going to be the most worth it for, I guess, the average account. Of course, like with every listing I do, it is subjective. It wouldn't be as much fun to just come here and give you a flat out list of what is and what isn't. I like the subjective stuff. So as far as me personally, I enjoy PVMing and Slayer a pretty decent bit, so maybe I might trend more that way. I also will be mildly considering things that Iron Men can be benefited by. However, it won't really, make too much of a difference in the end rankings. It may kind of help break ties and stuff like that. Just small little things. So I'll mostly be looking at this through the lens of a main account player that mostly enjoys, some skilling and PVM. As far as how I weighted out the diaries, the easy diary is 10% of my final rating, the med diary is 20, the hard diary is 30, and the elite is 40. The higher diaries are going to give you better benefits, are going to be longer lasting than the easy and the medium, so it should be, weighted a little higher. And with that said, let's go ahead and get into the worst diary of the video. So we'll go ahead and get on into the rankings. We'll start with the lowest cumulative score, and that is the Desert Diary. For the easy and meds, I tended to give them lower grades just because they're not as helpful in general, and a lot of these, just looking at them, are very tough. I won't be listing everything that the diary offers you, just the things I think are notable. So starting with Desert, you get Desert Goat Horns dropped noted. You also get an NPC that will purchase artifacts as banknotes, and throughout the Desert Diaries, you get Scepter, Pharaoh Scepter charges added on, so instead of charging it and getting 3, you could get 4 or 5, just keep on going. It's okay. I gave it a 1. Honestly, none of that is even useful in my eyes. As far as the medium diary, I also gave that a 1 because it literally gives you a Nardateli and it gives you 5 charges in your Scepter, which I don't care for either of them, and Nardatelis are cheap and you can buy them from the Grand Exchange, so not really all that helpful. And the Desert Hard Diary, I gave a 3. The Alcarid shortcut's the only thing that's really notable, although I guess for Iron Man, you can create unfinished potions via a NPC in Narda. And then finally, as far as the elite goes, I gave this a 3 as well because it gives you desert heat protection, which is, kind of cool. I don't spend too much time in the desert, so I don't really care. And you get a Calphite Queen shortcut, really. I mean, that's mostly it. The Calphite Queen shortcut really isn't even useful because I don't kill it after I get the elite diaries done. So yeah, just the worst diary, in my opinion, and we'll get it out of the way to start. And the net ranking for the Desert Diary comes in at a 2.4, which is significantly lower than anything else in this list. It's the worst diary by far, in my opinion. Then the second lowest diary is the Karanji Diaries. The Easy Diary gives you better deals in Karanji shops, and it also halves the cost of going to Karanji on the 30 GP boat. So nothing useful, I don't really think. I mean, maybe if you're Crom just stuck Iron Man, that, the discounted general store goods could be nice, but for me, I don't care. Then the Karamja Medium, you get 10% more XP from the Brimhaven Agility course, which is okay, and then the Shiloh Village River shortcut as well, but I don't really care for either of those two things at all. Then the Hard Diary, you end up getting access to the mines, the kind of gem mines, and you have a teleport that can get you there. That's the dungeon, I guess not the higher level gem mines, but nonetheless, I don't mind any of those gems that frequent, and the teleport's kind of nice to get a Duradel task, but it's nothing too crazy that I'd go out of my way to do the diary. And then finally, as far as Elite goes, you get unlimited teleports to Duradel, which I like because, I'm a Slayer guy. You have a 10% chance of receiving double tickets from the Brimhaven Agility area, and you get 1 resurrection in Fight Caves. So really only the teleports to Duradel is what I care the most about, and I ended up giving it a 7. I mean, that might be a bit high, but either way, Karamja is second lowest spot with a 4.6 overall rating. Then next we have the Falador Diaries. Starting with the easy, you get 25% prayer restore once a day, which is basically useless, and then a shortcut to the Chaos Temple. So I gave this a 2. Maybe it could be argued that's a 1, but there's some use you can get out of it, I guess. So, not great. Falador Med Diaries, I gave a 6. They have a 50% restore once a day. You also get 10% more XP from the Falador Farming Patch, Motherlode Mine shortcut, and a higher percent chance of getting a medium clue from the Falador Guards. So all around, not too bad, just a lot of stuff that kind of is decent. So I gave it a decently high rank. The Hard Diary for Falador, I gave an 8. You get 100% restore once a day, which is decent. You have the mole locator and noted mold drops, which is kind of mostly what I'm talking about when I give it an 8. And you also have the crafting guild bank that you can now use. So just all the mole unlocks I think are really, really cool. But if you don't care about mole, obviously it's not that worth it for you then. And with the Elite Diaries for Falador, I gave them a 4. Not all that useful. Just you get to restore your prayer twice a day, which is okay. And your tree patch never gets diseased in Falador, which is nice. And you have increased ores from Motherlode Mines. So I mean, just things that are kind of nice, but nothing that stands out. So all around, I gave Falador a 5.4, just kind of a useful diary, but nothing that's gonna, put you to that next level. Then the next highest in our rankings is the Candor Diaries. We'll start with the Easy Diary, of course, and I gave that a 4. That might be a bit high, but 5% more marks of grace from the rooftop is decent. I mean, compared to what you get from other Easy Diaries. And the Flax Keeper can exchange some flax for bowstrings, like 30. It's not really that great. Maybe a 4 is a bit high, but that's what I'm saying with these Easy Diaries. I'm really stretching because they're not always that useful. They give really niche uses for low levels. The medium Candor Diary, I gave a 5. Your flax spinning is increased 33%, which is decent. You get 10% more XP from maples near the Candor area. You can have 60 flax exchange. You also get 10% more marks, and then there's a 5% chance that your herb will avoid death at the Catherby farming patch. So not too bad, decent all around right there. So I gave it a 5. As far as the Hard Diary with Candor, I gave that a 10. You get the Sears Bank Telly, which I think is just one of the biggest unlocks as far as med game goes, because it really boosts your agility rate, and anything that can boost my agility that significantly is going to be up there. You also get 15% more marks from the Sears course, and some other percentage boosts. You get a percentage boost to that herb patch again. You get a percentage boost to your enchanted bolts throughout the game, which is kind of nice. And you also get 10% more reward points from Barbarian Assault. So all around, decent stuff. Ended up giving that a 10 just because everything there's decently useful, and agility boost, I'm all for it. Then finally, the Elite Candor Diary, I give that a 3. Honestly, there's not much to see here. You get a 50% discount for a Zami Hasta if you turn it from a spear to a Hasta, which, yeah, it doesn't cost too much, so it's not that big of a deal. Then you have a 15% chance of saving your herb, or that your herb will be saved if it were to die, and that, I mean, again, I don't really do a bunch of herb runs, and even if I did, that's not that crazy compared to other Elite Diaries. So for that reason, we ended up with a net score of a 5.6 for the Candor Diaries. And now we can move on to the Wilderness Diary, which is next up in the list. The Easy Diary, I gave a 4. I mean, it's again, like most Easy Diaries, not great, but it gives you a little something. You have the sword that can now slash every web with a guarantee in the Wildy, which I like that a decent bit. Just escaping and trying to maneuver those webs can be annoying. And the Wilderness Lever can teleport you to Edgeville, so, that's also decent. As far as low levels go, those are both, nice for navigating the Wildy, so I don't mind that. I'll give it a 4. Med Diaries from the Wilderness, you get a 15% boost of Ent drops, which I don't really care for. 4 ecumenical keys can be held at once, which is a little boost, but again, not too big of a deal, and you also get access to the shortcut in the Deep Wildy Dungeon. So if you hang out and do a lot of Wildy Slayer, that is actually pretty useful, which is probably why I gave this a 4. I did a decent bit of Wildy Slayer, and I wish I would have unlocked that shortcut a bit earlier. I didn't even realize. Now moving on to the Hard for the Wilderness Diary. I gave that a 6. As far as what you get 50% more lava shards per scale, which, obviously helpful. You have shortcuts that you unlock that are both very helpful as far as in terms of escapability and just saving you time. You can hold 5 ecumenical keys, and you can choose the destination of the obelisk, which is also, again, pretty nice for navigating the Wildy. A lot of the Wilderness Diaries are just helping you navigate and get around easier, which is great, especially to get away from PKers. And finally, noted Zami wines. I don't really do that, but I'm sure it can be useful for some. And then for the Elite Wilderness Diary, you have unlimited teleports to the Fountain of Rune, which is really, really good. That's kind of a meta moneymaker. At least it used to be. Probably not as much anymore, but for some high levels, it's definitely a good one. Dragon Bones throughout the Wildy are going to be noted, and you also have an increased Dark Crab rate. So I gave that an 8. I think all those things are pretty useful, and depending on how much you do them, maybe it, could be higher or less, but the wilderness score ended up coming in at a 6.2. Then next up we have 2 spots that are tied for the same ranking, but I guess we'll start with Ardoin. I gave the easy diary a 6. It unlocks you the ability to teleport to the monastery, which is just a really nice teleport for people that want to use a fairy ring, especially Iron Man early game. You get double death runes for trading in cats, which again is another Iron Man based thing, but still just relatively useful, and 10% increased chance to steal from stalls. So this one is a bit more Iron Man based. If you're a main count, it's probably not a 6, but if you're an Iron Man, it's higher than a 6. So net, I think that was a pretty good spot to put it. The Med Diaries for Ardoin, you get 3 farm teleports to the Ardoin patch a day. You also get 100 noted essence, which really doesn't matter too much, and then 10% increased chance to pickpocket in Arty. So mostly the farm teleports and the Arty pickpockets were what I was looking at there that are useful. And for the Arty Hard Diary, you get 5 farm tellies. You can also change your Watchtower telly to be a Yanil teleport, so kind of nice, I guess. And then a 10% increase pickpocket chance across the game, which is obviously a boost to what you had at the medium diary. So I ended up giving that a 5. And then finally onto the elite Ardoin diaries, I ended up giving that a 7. You get unlimited farm teleports, which is probably the most impressive of all this. You get 50% more fish from the trawler, which don't really care about. And then you get 25% more marks of grace from the Arty rooftop, which, it take what you can get. 25 is obviously a pretty big bump up in percent of mark. And all of that led me to give Ardoin a 6.3 score, which is tied with the Fremnik score, also getting a 6.3. We'll start off with the easy diaries. For the Fremnik, you get a Relica teleport once a day. That's basically it. So that's a 2. I guess useful in the sense that you may not be able to get to Relica that easy, but nothing too crazy there. The Fremnik medium diary, you get a miscellanea shortcut, and so I gave that a 2 as well. Again, not really anything coming in there. Now it really starts to kick off with the hard and elite diaries, where I gave it a 7 in regards to the hard diary. You get noted Addy bars from aviancies in the God Wars dungeon. You also get a shortcut to the herb patch and Troll Stronghold, and you have a couple new spells with Tan Leather and Recharge Dragonstone, so I think that's definitely worth a 7. And then in regards to the elite diaries, the main one that everyone cares about, and the reason most people get 77 rune crafting, is so that you can get noted Dagonoth bones. You also get faster favor gain, and you don't need a sealed passage. Net, I give it a 9. Now, if you don't do any Dagonoth Kings, then the diary, honestly, is a lot lessened. But if you do a decent amount of DKs, it's definitely worth it long term. So all that given, I ended up giving it a 6.3. And now we can move into our top 5 for the diaries. And yeah, we'll kick it off with the Western Provinces. The Western Provinces Easy Diary gives you a 25% chance of spawning 2 Chompies, which is decent, so I gave it a 3. I mean, it's just nice to be able to get that initial boost. As far as the medium diary goes, again, it doesn't really do much. Your crystal saw can hold twice as many charges, but you also have a 50% chance of getting 2 Chompies. I gave that a 3. Not a whole lot to be said there, kind of just much the same with the medium diaries. And then as far as the hard Western Provinces diary, you unlock the ability to get Elite Void. You have to get more pest control points to upgrade, but that ability to unlock is very, very nice. You also have the private Red Chin hunting ground. Your teleport crystals can hold 5 charges now, and you have unlocked the Crystal Halley that you can go buy. So all of that combined, I gave that a 9 for hard diaries. I mean, could be higher, could be a 10, you could say, but they're sacred to me. And then for the Western Provinces Elite, you get unlimited Piscarilius teleports, which isn't that great. 2 Chompy birds will always appear, which is cool. You also can hunt the Chompy chick pet, which is a really easy pet to get post-diary. You get a resurrection when fighting Zulrah once a day, and also the Slayer points from Neve/Steve are now equal to Durdel. So net gave that an 8. Could be a little higher, but I don't know. I think that's just about right. And ultimately that brought us to a 6.8 rating for the Western Provinces. Now on to Lumbridge at number 4. The Easy Lumbridge Diary replenishes 50% of your run energy twice a day, which is okay. And the 30 low alks, I kind of rate that for low levels. I think it can just be kind of useful in times where you may not be able to keep your inventory space but need some money. So gave that a 5. I mean, there's not a lot of useful easy diaries, so gotta give something of a 5 or higher somewhere, I guess. Then as far as the medium diary with Lumbridge, you get to replenish 50% of your run 3 times a day. The more important part is you get 3 daily teleports to the cabbage patch, so that's a good herb run spot, and you have access to the Drainer Village wall shortcut. So I gave that a 5, mostly for the herb run accessibility. In regard to the hard diaries, I gave that a 5 as well. You get unlimited teleports to the cabbage patch, which again, just herb run accessibility, access to the Lumbridge shortcut to the desert, and 10% increase from Tears of Gothic. So I ended up giving that a 5, pretty decent, but nothing too staggering. And then finally, the reason that this is kind of a good diary is the elite. You get 30 high alchs per day from your ring, which is really, really good, especially for like bursting and barraging. You get a 6th block slot for Slayer, which I really, really like. And you also can now use fairy rings without needing any sort of staff. So all of that combined, I ended up giving it a 10. I think all of those things are very, very helpful. So ultimately, that's what brought Lumbridge up to a 7 rating, which is actually, I guess, tied for 3rd or 4th with our next one, which is Mauritania, which is a bit more of a med-level diary. This one kind of excels earlier. So as far as the easy diary, it doesn't do that much. You get 2 slime pit tellies a day, which I don't know if you're into that, but you also get 2.5% Slayer increase from the Slayer Tower. So I gave that a 3. I mean, just bonus XP that you don't have to work for is always something I'm a fan of. In regards to the medium, you get 5% XP boost in the Slayer Tower. I give that a 4. Like I said, I'm a Slayer guy, so I don't know if I can get 5% XP for free. I'm about it. Especially with such a slow skill. Then the hard diaries from Mauritania is really where this shines. You get unlimited Burke de Rot tellies, or basically teleports near the Barrows area in that entire type of village, those two kind of combined cities. Just gets you really far south in Mauritania in a very quick manner. You also have the Bone Crusher that you can unlock, but you have to charge. You get double Mortmire fungi if you end up picking them, 50% more runes from Barrows, and 7.5% more XP in the Slayer Tower. So all that combined, I think that's a 9, arguably a 10. Low and med levels love Barrows, so I kind of rate that. If you don't do any Barrows, this is, a lot less helpful, but a lot of people like it, so I put it up there. And then finally, for the Elite Diary from Mauritania, you get unlimited Slime Pit tellies, you get full prayer XP from the Bone Crusher, another herb patch unlocked, and 10% Slayer XP. I gave this an 8, because again, Slayer XP I love. Full prayer XP from the Bone Crusher is nice, and another herb patch is definitely good for people that are into that. Not as much me, but I rate it nonetheless. So that brings us down to the final 2, and for number 2, we are going with Kyrian. The Kyrian Diary is one that I just think is pretty balanced throughout the entire thing, and that's why it rates high. For the easy diary, I gave it a 5. You get Kyrian woodland teleports, a few of those a day, if I remember correctly. And on top of that, the doubled Xerix Talisman drop rate. I kind of rated this more so just for the Xerix Talisman part alone. That's a very annoying item to get, especially if you go dry, so halving the time to get that is going to be very, very nice. And moving on to the medium, I give that a 6. You have a 4% chance to catch 2 fish at once and a 5% chance to get 2 essence blocks at once. So if you're doing any of the essence mining for rune crafting, or, I guess for teleports maybe, or you're just catching profitable fish, you get a couple boosts in that regard. So in terms of medium diaries, I think it's pretty useful. I gave it a 6. Then for the hard diaries, you get 3 teleports to the Mount, which has Konar and all that up there. Nice accessibility feature there. On top of that, the Slayer helm can now work as the Shazian helm, which is very nice. And you get 5% chance to save your herb life at the Hasidius area, and 6% chance at double fish. So all that just being pretty useful by themselves combined, I ended up giving them a 7. And then onto the Elite Diaries, I gave Kyrian a 9. You have unlimited teleports to the mountaintop that holds Konar. Very nice, just for, like Hydra task. Personally, I hated running up there, so that was just great. 8% double fish, which is also pretty nice. I was doing dark crab fishing in the Wildy, and just getting double of those every now and then is pretty staggering. The burn effect from the dungeon of Mount Carolum, or however you pronounce that, is now negated, so you don't have to wear any special boots, and you get 10% extra bloods when you are crafting runes. All that considered, gave it a 9, and the net rating for that was a 7.4, coming in at 2nd place. So yeah, just like that diary all around. And that leads us to the final diary, and you might know what it is. That is the Varrock Diary. It is a diary that is good early on, good at endgame, and so it just rates the whole way through. Varrock Easy Diary, I gave a 7. You have a 10% chance of mining 2 ores up to coal, and you have a 10% chance of smithing 2 bars up to steel. Both that kind of being pretty nice. That will eventually get upgraded and be even better. You also have 15 daily battle staffs that you can get. Just kind of gets you into the mood of doing dailies. The medium Varrock Diaries gives you a 10% chance of doubled ores or bars all the way up until mithril. 30 staffs a day that you can buy at a discounted price. And you have the ability to toggle the Varrock teleport to the Grand Exchange teleport. I think that the staffs are obviously nice, the 10% doubled bars and ores are nice, but the GE teleport, I mean, my God, that saves me so much time that alone is gonna get, you know, that's what pushes this up, honestly. I teleport there all the time, saves me 30 seconds every single time, and that's added up to more than anything else in the medium diary area. Now onto the hard Varrock diary, I gave this an 8. You have a 10% chance of mining or smithing 2 bars or ores all the way up until Addy. You get 60 staffs a day that you can buy at a discounted price, and you can have access to the Cooking Guild Bank. Here I gave this an 8, again, mostly just for the staffs. I mean, back in the day, the staffs used to be able to upkeep bonds once you had the hard and elite done. No longer is that the case, but it's still going to give you good passive money that you really don't even have to work for at all. And then finally, the Varrock Elite Diary. I gave it a 9. Varrock didn't have a 10 at all the way through, but it is just good throughout, like I said. So that's why it's here. Any bar or you have a, again, 10% chance of doing 2 of those actions at once. Your Varrock chestplate can now act as Prospector, which is good, because then I don't have to, you know, negate the fact that I'm getting 2 with no XP bonus. And on top of that, you can buy 120 staffs a day, which, you know, once you start to get to that point, it's just going to be very nice for helping out your account as a whole. And for that reason, I ended up with giving Varrock an 8.5 rating, just due to the general usefulness. I think that it's one that almost anyone can agree that you should start to work on, and the other ones can be a bit more niche depending on how you play the game, but overall I am quite happy with these rankings. Obviously though, there are going to be some points of debate, so if you want to debate those, feel free to in the comments down below. Just remember, you know, we can't have the same exact list in every regard, so there are gonna have to be some differences, and that's okay. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like. Anything you want to tell me, like I said, you know, let me know in a comment down below. On top of that, if you want to see more videos like this as soon as they go live, make sure to hit that subscribe. And with that said, hopefully you guys have a wonderful day, and see you.